Welcome, brothers and sisters, to the Meher Baba program. I'm Fred Stankus, along with my co-host Suhas Ginde. Welcome, Suhas.
Thank you.
We are continuing on in a series of programs on a booklet of Baba messages, discourses he gave throughout his lifetime. These are just selected ones taken, compiled by the Avatar Meher Baba Center, Bombay Center, and this is copyrighted by the Avatar Meher Baba Perpetual Public Charitable Trust. And in this sequence, we now are at message 42, and there was 81 messages, so this series will continue on. Baba gave these messages not only to his close disciples, but to various followers at meetings and private talks, and also large gatherings. So this number 42, Suhas, if you'll read, is "Come unto me." And Baba gave this message.
Okay, well, Baba says in this message, approach me with unfailing faith, love, and devotion, and with the longing to receive my divine love and grace. I would like you to bear in mind that you do not approach me with the thought of any worldly gain. Come to receive my love. Also remember that whosoever forms friendship with me loses everything, even the self. Then I give God realization. However far man may fling himself into outer space, he will not change. Wherever he goes, he will remain what he is. It is when man travels within himself that he experiences a metamorphosis of himself. It is this journeying that matters, for the infinite treasure, God, is within man and not to be found outside himself. The universe has come out of me and has to come unto me.
What a message to begin the program with, Suhas. It's like Baba describes the treasure within each being, and he is the one who's come again. Baba declared in 1954 he's the avatar of the age, the same as Mohammed, Buddha, Rama, Krishna, Zoroaster, Jesus, and now he's Meher Baba. And so he is the one who is stealing you away from your daily lives of this gross world. He has come, so like he said, those who follow and love me, I will take you from, I guess, paraphrasing, where you're at. And so actually, those viewers who are watching this are very, you'd say, getting a message from the Beloved himself.
Yes. He's also saying to people that to approach him to receive his love. Come to receive my love. Also remember that whoever forms friendship with me loses everything, even the self. Means you lose your ego mind, the material part of your being, and you tune in more into the inner spiritual being that you really are.
And Baba is not for any particular religion. He is...
well, this is beyond religion.
He's beyond religion.
It's a different concept than what we follow in the Western world. It took me a long time to figure out that too, since I myself went through a Catholic school and so on. But the God concept that they talk about is mostly something to do with the soul, the Atma. That is what we all are in reality. But we get caught up into the material world and we focus on that. Our gross consciousness focuses on that, and that's why we have happiness and misery in our lives and separateness. To get back to unity consciousness, you focus on Baba, who represents that ultimate reality in a human form. So do we all, but we are not aware of it. He is 100% aware of it at all times.
So when you say Baba, so as you're speaking at God,
I'm talking about all the avatars represent God.
So anybody could follow their particular path if they follow it to the what's the word, the true degree of truth.
Yes.
They could be a Christian, they could be a Buddhist, they could be a Hindu.
They can be whatever faith that they follow.
If they follow it with truth.
With sincerity and honesty. But right. Baba says, as a matter of fact, that you should follow the teachings of your faith, or if you are fortunate enough to meet a perfect master or an avatar, which is very rare. then you can follow him if you accept him as God in human form, or somebody who is spiritually divine. Otherwise, you have to follow the teachings of your faith to the best you can, because not everyone has the opportunity to come in contact with people who are in touch with their ultimate reality. So this is why I'm making that saying. Okay,
the next message Baba said was realize your infiniteness. I remember back in the 70s, I typed a poster up and put it up at a university, Stony Brook, New York, and gave a talk at their student union. And this was the message that I put up, and it drew about 12 or 14 people. But I remember, realize your infiniteness. You are infinite. You are really everywhere. But you think you are the body, and therefore consider yourself limited. If you look within and experience your own soul in its true nature, you will realize that you are infinite and beyond all creation. The truth of divine love is not a hope, but a reality. All else is illusion. Have faith and you will be redeemed. Have love and you will conquer the limited self of cravings that veil your own true being as God. Why seek temporary relief which has in its wake binding? Ask God not for money, fame, power, health, or children, but for His grace of love, which will lead you to eternal bliss and freedom. If you renounce for me everything physical, mental, and spiritual, then you have me. Boy,
beautiful.
It's
a little bit of what I said earlier about when he talks about you're infinite, you're really everywhere, which means you as real you are everywhere and infinite. If you think you're the body, therefore consider yourself limited. If you look within and experience your own soul in its true nature, your Atma, you will realize that you are infinite and beyond all creation.
But in other words, what you're saying, there's a veil, something that's blocking you.
Your mind.
From
the
seeing
ego
your true
mind.
Self.
Yes, it is the veil of the impressions.
So when can you still your mind? I guess when you're sleeping. When you sleep, you don't...
When you sleep, you are not conscious of anything around you,
right,
not even
but
who
so
you are.
You're in a peaceful state, though.
Yes, you're sort of in a state of, how should I say...
Suspension.
You go to this the original state, what he calls the beyond God state, which is a state of sound sleep. In sound sleep, you're unconscious of everything. Who you are, where you live, where you work, who your relatives are.
Right.
Everything.
You're oblivious.
But you as you still exist. The real you still is there. It is just not conscious. It is unconscious of itself or its surroundings. So it's in a state of, how do you say, equilibrium, or it's in a state of quietude.
But when you wake up, you have
When you
these
wake up due to
impressions.
impressions that you have amassed from your prior lifetimes, and again, this means that you have been here before many times. These impressions lead you in the direction, because they have to be experienced. Impressions have to be experienced through activity, and they create new impressions, which again get stored into your into your mind. And then they have to be worked out. So it's an ever-going, how should I say, one thing leading to another.
The will o' the wisp.
No, the will o' the wisp is something that is hard to find. It's like the God within is forgotten. And to do that, you have to
unveil yourself.
Through love. You focus on God or Baba, who represents that ultimate reality, or any of the masters. If you don't have the opportunity to be in contact with Baba, then if you follow, let's say, Christ or Buddha or Jesus, Muhammad, whatever, you focus on Him and His attributes, His qualities. And that takes your mind away from your sanskaras, kind of die out. They kind of, by focusing on something, they supersede. Focusing on a divine being helps you forget about all your daily wants and needs. Your needs will be taken care of.
So in essence, what you're saying, we are all wonderful.
We are all one.
We're latently to be God realized, all of us, in eventuality. I mean, it could be 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 lifetimes or more away, or maybe millions of lifetimes away.
Yeah.
But the point of it is, we're all destined for that. And each life is like, according to Baba says, is like a dream. I mean, reincarnation exists in the illusion, but in reality, the soul is only one. But through these births and deaths, which are dreams.
And separate from the creation.
Right.
It does not change, it does not attach itself, does not have those qualities. It basically is like an observer, a witness of whatever activity is going on. The soul does not
is witnessing it.
Only the consciousness is changing, only the physical forms are changing from time to time.
But most people associate their being with their mind. They think
they have to, because
they think who they are as far as their poverty or riches or
it's
illnesses.
Part of
or
Maya.
health.
Maya makes the mind, it controls the mind. Maya controls us. The avatar controls Maya.
Right.
It's God plus his Maya, which is his material power in essence, that creates the creation. When the mind is annihilated by the grace of God, there is no creation.
So it almost points to where, like when Lazarus was raised from the dead, it was like as though he was living in illusion, and so the Lord...
The raising of the dead was also like another illusion.
No, the Lord comes, though, and basically says, you in your mind and body, you're thinking you're dead or whatever.
But you might be sleeping.
Yeah, but in reality, I know who you are, and so I have the ability to know that, and so I could give you what you want.
Yeah, because masters are in charge of this power. We are controlled by it. They control it. That's the difference. Their consciousness is different, and so they're able to do things that we cannot do.
The next message is one that almost goes along with what you were saying about obey me.
So it continued. Baba says, obey me. All I ask you is that you love me most and obey me at all times. Knowing that it is impossible for you to obey me as you should, I help you to carry out wholeheartedly what I ask you to do by repeatedly bringing to you the importance of obedience. When you do what the Master says, the responsibility falls on him whom you obey, even when you obey unwillingly. You can leave your mind to my care by remembering me or repeating my name silently as often as you can. I want you to remain undisturbed and unshaken by the force of life's currents. For whatever the circumstances, they too will be of my own creation. Everything in creation is an illusion, a dream, compared to the ultimate reality, in relationship to that. So when you focus yourself on Baba, repeat his name silently as often as you can, you're taking your mind away from the things that attach you to the falseness of illusion. And you focus more on the reality.
See, a lot of people in contemporary Western world have trouble with a message from a teacher or master that says, obey me, because they feel, it's somewhat dictatorial, or it's sort of tyrannical. They almost think in the lines of, why should I obey you? I am a free being, free spirit. Who gives you that right to say that? I'm just saying. I'm just playing with you on this.
But this message, I think, obey me, was given to his disciples, who were given orders to follow and to live a certain type of life.
Okay. That makes it much more.
Since Baba is not in the body, the only thing he can do is follow his teachings, or he's got several, how to love God and so on, is to following his wish. That is, that's like living your life in relationship to what he's talking about and how he lived his life. Not to do things on your own will. I think people have to tune their willpower to the will of God, in the sense that God serves everyone through His, and so that's what they have to do, is to do a service to their fellow men in some way, shape, or form. That's the way to get in tune. It's karma, what they call karma yoga. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Selfless service is one of the ways of getting closer and closer to God, and further away from your wants and desires. And that also helps you remove your sanskaras, your impressions. They kind of fade away.
The next message is a good one too. I'll read this. Awake for all time. When you awake, you find that the great dream, containing all the varied illusory aspects of dreaming, has vanished forever. Heaven and hell, as well as the planes, vanish within yourself, to remain as nothing. In this awakened state, there is no scope for anything besides you, the self, the existence, eternal and infinite. This is the only experience worth experiencing and aspiring to, aspiring after. To gain this experience, you have to become as dust at the feet of the perfect master, which amounts to becoming as nothing. And when you become absolutely nothing, you become everything. Once I awaken your heart, you too will awake for all time. It is my God-ordained work to awaken humanity to the inviolable, what is it? Inviolable unity and inalienable divinity of all life. Know that you are in essence eternal and heirs to infinite knowledge, bliss, and power. So in other words, it's like He's sleeping in our hearts, and when we awake, He awakes for all time.
He awakes us in our heart to the ultimate reality, which is infinite knowledge, bliss, and power. That's what God represents, as far as what I understand. In Hindu philosophy, God is represented as infinite knowledge, power, and bliss. That is the Satchitananda state, which I talked about earlier many times. And that's what the self represents. The self with a capital S is different from the self with a small s in this text. When it says, heaven and hell as well as the planes vanish within your higher self, with a capital S, your Atma, because that's the only reality there is the self, the higher self, to remain as nothing. And in this awakened state, there is no scope for anything besides you. You become merged with yourself, your higher self. The existence eternal and infinite. That's what it is. That's the only reality there is. Everything else disappears. The dream, you're awake from the dream. The dream doesn't exist anymore. When you wake up in the morning from sleep, the dream you had doesn't happen.
No, it's gone.
Yeah, so that's
the same way when you wake up.
This is similar to what he's trying to say, is when you really wake up to who you really are, your ultimate self, your ultimate reality, then he says everything. So he says, in order to do that, you have to become as dust at the feet of the dust. You see, can move around at will, and it follows whatever the master wants to do. Wherever he walks, the dust is under his feet. So he controls it. That's what I mean when I said you have to align your energy with what he's trying to say.
So what you're saying, fortunate is the one who can become in contact with one who is a master, a perfect master, or a God-man.
Yes.
I mean,
also,
we're talking about Meher Baba to viewers who are seeing this, and perhaps, we're becoming a messenger for Baba, a medium to talk about it, because they're hearing his name and they may become interested in pursuing his works, or
getting on some form of path
to where they really start asking the question, what am I doing here? Who am I? Because most people, they think life as itself is, well, that's reality. It's I'm going to live, I'm going to eat, I'm going to gain success, and I'm going to get older and whatever, enjoy the pleasures, and then eventually I know I'll die.
But that's a false reality.
Yeah, but do people know? I mean, wouldn't you think a wise person would examine himself and say,
I'm sure he would.
Where am I going to go from here if I have all this amassed wealth in this world? What does it mean when I get old and die? What is the reason for it all?
What's the purpose
What's
of life?
the purpose of
Why
it?
am I here?
Why am I here?
What
A
am I
wise
doing
man
here?
will say, maybe there's more to it. Maybe there's continuation. Maybe there's, you follow?
And I'm sure wise people have questioned that from
Yeah.
time to time.
I mean,
Again, this message, again, very deep. It's not just anybody just can't jump in right away. It takes, many, how should I say, years. It takes a lot of time to understand. It's not something, God realization you may get in an instant, but it takes millions of lifetimes to come close to a master and so on. Or to be even in tune with in his orbit. You follow what I'm saying,
Yeah.
Fred? But his mission is to awaken you to what you really are.
well, the next message is almost the same, almost what you just
yes,
described.
basically. I mean, most of his messages are going to be in
Almost,
that same vein. They don't
it-
change.
It's almost a good segue to this one.
Yeah. Seek not the kingdom of earth. And again, Jesus said the same thing. Gather your treasures in heaven. He was using a different terminology. Do not seek material pleasure, and you will find the spiritual treasure. This means seek only God, but by not seeking material pleasure, and you will find God. You can only seek God through self-denial. The spiritual treasure cannot be obtained by merely stretching out your hand for it. Can't say, gimme. Only in the completeness of self-denial can the spiritual treasure become self-evident. Seek the kingdom of heaven by not seeking the kingdom of earth, and you will find it. When God is found, you can have no idea what infinite bliss and peace is gained. I give you all my love so that someday you can love God as he ought to be loved. I think it's pretty similar to what Jesus was saying.
Yes.
Gather your treasures in heaven where moth and rust does not spoil it. And but see, the ego mind, which is what makes us function externally, that's focused into the worldly, acquirements, getting things. Our desires where we want to do things and acquire possessions and wealth, and those things may give you a sense of security or happiness for a time being, but they're not lasting. And anything you have and are not lasting for the rest of time. Somewhere down the road they have to be given up, like toys when you grow up. From childhood to being a youth, you give up your toys when you played as a child. So,
Well, remember what Baba said, I think in a message, either was previous or one of these messages, he said there's two ways of loving God. One is to totally renounce the world
I think it's in there.
and become, an ascetic. And the other way is to live in the world, be a householder, be either a married or a single person, but go to parties, go to social events, go to whatever functions, go to your job, but always keep in the back of your mind to try to make others happy,
Yes.
even at the cost of your own happiness. He said that's two ways of loving God. So the second way is it's feasible, it's practical, but the point of it is,
The first way is to give up everything, and for God, and
give
then
up everything.
your possessions, and even yourself.
Even yourself, you become
Those are like
you become a ascetic,
the disciples.
a monk, yeah.
And
That's right, like a disciple
the
of a master, a mandali, yeah.
they have mandali members of the circle of
They
Baba.
give up everything
They
to
give
follow
up
him.
their life and
Well, like
live
Jesus said, leave all and follow me.
leave all.
Leave your family, even if you're the person's holding the baby in his arms. Leave it, I'll take care of it. That's the first step to follow. The second one is where the
The second one is to
person
live
living
in the world,
live in the
but
world,
not attached to his surroundings, and to think about Baba or
yeah.
the avatar from time all the time in the back of his mind as he's
Right.
going through his life.
But the key to this, try to make others happy, even at the cost of your own happiness.
That's karma yoga.
Yeah, but I mean, that's such a tough.
Why? But that's what karma yoga means, a selfless service. You don't think about what's in it for me. That's the way to live, as Baba says. Everybody can live that way. Follow what I'm saying? That's what he's saying, like when you talked about obey me. These are one of the things that we have to do if you want to follow a master. Make people happy even if it means unhappiness for yourself, because that's one of the ways he lifts you up to a different level. Your consciousness gets lifted. You do it out of joy, not as drudgery.
Well, remember, I think Baba, in one of his messages too, he says, try to be good. In other words, it's like we are habit-forming, creatures. Mm-hmm. It's that if you're not
creatures of habit.
Creatures of habit. If you're not a per se good individual, and you try to be good, maybe by first of all you're doing it just because somebody told you to do it. But eventually, as you do it, you begin to like it. I'll just give an example. I won't mention the supermarket's name. There's a big supermarket throughout California that has every employee greet you when you walk down their aisle. Not only when you walk in the store, when you walk down the aisle. How are you? Can I help you?
Yes.
And the point of it is, you could tell that this has actually become fun to a lot of them. They've learned something, how people respond to positive feedback or input. And you could tell some of them have done it at first by being told to do it, but now they do it without a question.
And you know what? That store probably brings in more customers.
Oh, they do.
Because they feel better.
Oh, yeah.
That people are more
When you go in the store,
receptive.
you know that they're not going to ignore you. I've been walking down an aisle in a store like that, just browsing, looking at some shelves. Somebody, may I help you with something? And I go, are you kidding? This is
I can help myself.
Exactly, but most people are not aware of that.
But it's a form of politeness that says.
We're getting the wrap-up sign, Suhas, so we'll continue next week with part 10 of this series on Meher Baba Calling. Meher Baba says,
do your best and leave the rest to me. Don't worry, be happy in my love.
All right. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.